The next day, Kitty and I stood quietly, waiting for the bus. We leaned against our compound wall wearing school uniforms, long pleated skirts, and white blouses. The sun rose with fervor while monks with shaven heads, dressed in orange robes, knocked on doors to receive rice porridge from my neighbors. The air smelled salty while pigeons converged upon scattered breadcrumbs. I felt a profound sense of freedom. Maybe I was better off without hell. The silence between my sister and me wasn't unusual. This time we weren't speaking because of a recent fight. Mom had insisted we take self-defense classes after a stranger tried to pull me into his car. I had stayed at the church too long after Bible to finish homework. Thus, I ended up returning to campus through a back alley. All the other girls walked far ahead in clusters. I dropped my keychain and failed to realize I had stopped in front of a car with a window rolled down. As I stood up, I felt a man's greasy arms engulfing me. Luckily, I screamed so loudly that I was immediately released. I then ran to class as fast as I could. Not surprisingly, my teachers, classmates, and family blamed me. Everyone asked, "Why were you walking alone?" Consequently, Kitty and I enrolled in an after-school taekwondo. Being the ultra-competitive girl she is, my sister took the opportunity to pummel me. Apparently, "you bitch, I saw him first," and "you on everything" aren't taekwondo commands. Suffice it to say we were both immediately expelled, which hardly seemed fair since she'd started it. A stray cat sauntered by while our neighbor returned home. According to rumor, Apple was the mistress of a high-ranking politician. This explained her colonial-style home in Ben's. I admired Apple's pink Manolo Blahnik heels, which didn't quite match her orange polka-dot puffy cocktail dress. She waved at us. I smiled and waved back. "Gosh, Kitty, do you think Apple partied the whole evening?" I honestly couldn't care less. I'd grown up keenly aware of adult indiscretions. Thus, idle gossip never interested me, but I was eager to make amends with my sister. Kitty ignored me and jumped onto the bus in such a brusque manner that the door almost slammed in my face. When we arrived at school, I sauntered to the back. I felt curious eyes upon me. As I opened my locker to retrieve books, Terry ran up and declared, "Fina, your boyfriend has been cheating on you." I slammed the door shut. "Who?" "Your boyfriend," Terry repeated. "I don't have a boyfriend." "What about Jack?" I shook my head. "He's not my boyfriend." "Jack says he is." "The guy is quite the storyteller," I responded while walking away. Terry chased after me. "Then why is Jack always with you?" I stopped and in an exacerbated tone replied, "Must I explain myself again? I let Jack carry my books and run my errands out of the goodness of my heart. If he wants to tell people I'm his girlfriend, well, I can't control what people fabricate, can I?" "Really?" "So much for being nice." Terry's eyes widened. "You or him?" "Me!" "Yeah, well, I saw Jack making out with Tiffany." "And why should this concern me?" I marched to class. Terry chased after me. "Fina, I know you." I chose a seat by the window. "Do you?" I asked while she slid into a wooden chair beside me. "You're sensitive." I ignored Terry and flipped through my notebooks. She continued, "That's why you play a romantic girl on TV. We all know your type." "My type?" "Yeah, your type always gets heartbroken, becomes hysterical, and ends up in an insane asylum." I sighed. "That's a cliche, isn't it?" "Huh?" I leaned back in my chair and gazed out at the window while my classmates piled in. A trite plot. Terry still didn't seem to understand. She continued, "Fina, you're a nice girl." I smiled and quipped, "People see themselves in others." I wish people didn't fixate on appearances. When you're a demon, you see through people quickly. I disagreed with the belief that one's appearance reflects one's soul. It's such a shallow and cruel judgment. I buried my head in a book and laughed silently. If people only knew who I really was and how little I felt, maybe there'd be fewer rumors about my alleged sentiments. Then again, as Errol Flynn once said, "It's never what people say about you, it's what they whisper." I was too human for hell, but too callous for earth. After morning prayer and biology, I headed over to the snack bar. I ignored the faint whispers of classmates. Someone clutched an Elle magazine. I noticed my image on the back. It was an ad for lotion. "Fina, don't you miss Jack?" Terry asked. "What's there to miss? An errand boy?" I laughed. "Indeed. Well, he'll be back." "How can you be so certain? He claims his compensation was poor." "Youth is irresistible, yet rarely satisfying." Terry's forehead furrowed. What are you talking about? You're only 17. Goodness, nothing, I replied, suddenly realizing I had accidentally shared the words of a former life. I did this sometimes. Luckily, most people were too self-absorbed to notice. I purchased a guava. Terry teased, Fina, why do you always eat fruit? I was about to answer when I felt a gust of wind. I paused while my heart skipped a beat. There was an ethereal presence. Quickly I began wandering away. I heard Terry mutter, What's gotten into her? Someone else replied, That's so Fina. While pacing, I felt steps approach. I rapidly spun around. A man in a white robe stood in front of me. I gasped. It was Raphael. Archangel Raphael was one of God's most trusted angels. While my brother Satan had traveled through chaos to get to Earth, Raphael went to warn Adam and Eve about his plans. Lucifina, how are you? Quit the nonsense, Raphael. What are you doing here? In addition to being a messenger, Raphael also thought of himself as a teacher. In Eden, he'd spent much time trying to explain creation to the curious Adam and the events that had transpired in heaven. Lucifina, it's been a long time, Raphael whispered. His soft skin was pale against his curly blonde locks. His blue eyes looked more turquoise in this light. Not long enough, I hissed, while storming off. Just when I thought I was free of hell, I was confronted by an angel. Lucifina, please wait. Raphael, I have to get to class. I heard the school bell ring, so I dashed away. Bible was my least favorite class. It wasn't that I disliked the subject. In fact, I'd always been passionate about this ancient document. After all, it was the only book my parents didn't encourage me to read. Unfortunately, my teachers didn't like students who asked too many questions, and I had quite a few. I was polite and smiled a lot, but people always wanted so much more. I'd grown accustomed to agents and advertising executives who insisted on controlling me, but it was never enough. It wasn't just respect everyone wanted. They demanded complete submission. My soul was my own, and I refused to give in.